welcome to the Freedom for the Press podcast. My name is Jason Robertson, and I'm here with my partner in crime.
It's Trump-a-mania, Jason. I needed a button down today. Folks, thanks for joining us today. We got a great show lined up here. I am Todd Peterson. I'm with my partner in crime, as you like to say, Jason. I'm throwing it back at you. Jason Robertson, J-Rob from Minnesota, with the lovely Jen Rob from Minnesota in the background. I'm excited for today, Jason. There is a lot that I'm already fired up about, and it's already like 1 minute into the show.
Oh my gosh. You know, we tell people this is our favorite hour and a half of the day. Rumble only, by the way, for those who don't know, gonna be fire. We already got K-Gun Girl over on the Rumble. We need to get a like first comment shirt made for her.
We
or
always
something.
talk about that. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I think
like-
Dee finally got her hat 2 or 3 weeks later. There you go, Dee. Mug arrived. Hat, not so much.
Giddy up. Yeah, there is so much going on in the news. We are delighted to share some of our highlights from the week with you guys. Even this morning, Donald Trump was out dropping truth bombs, reopening asylums. Like, think of that. I voted for that. As we get rocking and rolling, though, I'm going to ask everybody for a big favor. Do us a favor, give us a like, and give us a share. Like the little like button on every platform. We're on Facebook and YouTube, and our personal favorite, Rumble. At the end of the show, we do a half hour, 45 minutes Rumble only, where we talk about things the other platforms won't let us do. But hitting that like button lets the algorithm know you like us. And then, also give us comments. Part of the fun of the show is we have a really engaging chat. We have great people. You'll learn you're not alone. There's people that share your values, and we're here for it on Fridays.
And I just got to say, too, you are not wrong. You supporting Donald Trump in the America First movement, you are not wrong at all. And Jason, kind of like I set up my show yesterday, Jason tuned into my podcast yesterday, The American Tribune Live. I said, by the end of the show, you are going to be convinced like I am about, and I named an immigration thing. I didn't stream on Facebook, not going to say it on Facebook. By the end of the show today, if you are not already convinced that these Democrats, their media allies, are just absolutely insane, have horrible ideas, have been lying to you the whole time, you will be convinced. And if you're sharing this content with a lib neighbor, a lib in-law, whatever the case may be, they're going to be convinced too. Jason, I think this is the show that we can change minds. It's that good today.
Well, and I got to say, as we were thinking what we want to talk about, what we want to go into, I think what Tulsi Gabbard did this week, releasing Russiagate, was one of the most consequential things we have seen in our lifetime. And I'm going to say this. So 2015, Donald Trump says he's going to run for president. Everybody makes fun of him. Oh, Donald Trump, he's a businessman. Oh, he had bankruptcies, blah, 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 blah. And we still lived in a fairly normal society. We lived in a world where you could hang out at a barbecue with Democrats and like your tax policy stupid. You could have civil discourse, all the things. And then they elect Donald Trump and the world is thrown on its ear. And that was populist America rising up saying, we've had enough with this corrupt BS government. We want to send a political outsider in there to flip it over and figure out what we're going to do. And then they spin up this Russiagate narrative. And now what Tulsi Gabbard released shows, leading up to the election, and we'll talk about Hillary in the next segment, but leading up to the thing, it showed the intelligence community showed that there was no Russian collusion. Russia's goal was to destabilize America by making people not confident in the election results. They were planning backdoor deals with the Hillary Clinton administration through the State Department. When President Trump won, Barack Obama and his team got together and they said, we need to lead into this Trump is a Russian plant hoax. And the end result, and it's coordinated, Tulsi dropped all the documents. But what happened at that point is instead of you being stupid because you voted for Donald Trump, you became a traitor to the nation in Democrats' eyes. This is the most nefarious thing I've ever seen. And now 10 years later, you can't even have Democrats at a barbecue because they look at you through this lens of you are a traitor to the country. And I am so mad. I hope all these sons of bitches go to jail. Todd, what do you think?
Well, like Paul says here, Paul, thanks for tuning in on the Facebook. Yep, I have family members who don't communicate anymore. And it started because of this fake Russian collusion narrative. I'm going to back up too a little bit, Jason. Just remember, folks, all of our intelligence communities said, no, Russia's not really a threat to the election. They're looking at this in like October of 2016. No, Russia's not really doing it. Russia's preparing for a Clinton victory, by the way. They're compiling blackmail and evidence against her. Oh, it turns out she's on all these stimulants. She's not well mentally, fits of her age. Like, they got and of course, all the stuff that we know about Hillary. They're going into the DNC server. Russia was ready to go for a Clinton presidency. They didn't want to help Donald Trump. They had more dirt on Hillary. They wanted her to win. They didn't want to deal with the tough guy Trump in the White House. And then this all happens, and magically the intelligence community is like, hey, everybody, it turns out Russia hacked our elections and they're not safe and secure. And you're thinking like, hold on a second, that's not what you said yesterday. But yes, like Paul said, your family has stopped talking to you. They have stopped thinking rationally. They've stopped having discussions like, hey, tell me why you voted for Trump. They don't want to hear it. They're just like, you're a terrorist, you're a traitor, you're an awful human being, you're a scumbag, you hate everything about this, you voted for Trump. It's gone. Jason, the opportunity to talk politics is gone because of this lie right here, propagated by corporate media as well.
Well, and it's funny too. Like Paul says, you can't have family members you don't communicate with anymore. This narrative that started that if you supported President Trump, you were a traitor to the nation. It is such an evil, nefarious thing, because it's one thing if like, oh, you voted for Bush, I don't like it. They convinced Americans, and we should start with that Cuomo clip. We could play 1,000 clips. This was one I found that I think perfectly summed up exactly what I'm talking about.
Witnessed a betrayal, the likes of which we've never seen.
We got Dee Dee in the chat. Good morning, y'all. Thanks for the hat. It fits. We gave Dee Dee a hat. Dee Dee, we love you. Thank you so much.
I am so glad you got the hat, Dee Dee. I'll tell the story if we have time at the end on Rumble, Jason. The process it took to get Dee Dee her hat here. I am so glad you got it. And Dee Dee, thank you originally for the gift on our Rumble channel here. So the mug, the hat, they arrived. And thanks for tuning in today.
Oh, yeah.
America's president sided with its enemy today. Shock has turned to a national shunning as America finds unity in President Trump's perfidy. First up tonight, we have former U.S. intelligence chief Leon Panetta on what does it mean when a president betrays his own country. It was the simplest of all questions regarding.
Think of this. Major news, prime time, when a president betrays your country.
Russia's attacks on our democracy. Did it happen?
So I have great confidence in my intelligence people, but I will tell you that
Jason, I got to pause this for a second. Our Facebook is reaching the right audience here. These are the minds we want to change. We got James over on the Facebook saying, screw Trump. Love for an elaboration on that. How would a Kamala presidency have been better? How did a Biden presidency help anybody? And then we got Joyce over there. I don't know, Joyce. I would be careful dropping the 8647 reference. Someone might come knocking on your door, justifiably so. Stay tuned for the show. We are going to show you how they lied to you. They lied to you. Tulsi Gabbard laid it all out, how Obama was the ringleader in this treasonous conspiracy to undermine Donald Trump's administration, lie to the American people about a Russian collusion. They lied to you about fine people. They lied to you about Liz Cheney. They lied to you about, but they've lied to you about everything. James and Joyce, buckle up for the next hour here. Your worldview is going to be shattered, and I welcome it. The MAGA tent is big enough for everybody. I want you people woken up. I want you people to see reality for what it is. Stay tuned, James. Stay tuned, Joyce. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting, but don't leave.
President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today.
That was the President of the United States' answer. A kick in the groin to his counterintelligence men and women, to his country, and most to the truth. With the world watching, the leader of the free world sided with the man who directly ordered a sophisticated attack on America's electoral system. End of discussion. That's what happened. Russia did it. And the worst part is, the president knows what they found. They brief him most of all. Here's the quote. Putin and the Russian government aspired to help.
All right, Jason, I just have to pause here. What he is reading right now is what Obama and his team crafted after the fact. Remember, the intelligence community had found nothing of the sorts. leading up to the election. Donald Trump surprises the world by winning. So now the Obama administration manufactured this report, and now Chris Cuomo is reading it as if it's real news. Yeah, the trustworthy intelligence community.
President-elect Trump's election chances. Unquote. He did not, as he said in his speech today, choose peace over politics. He chose peace of mind that his legitimacy is safe over we, the people. What we lived through today, do you ever see anything else like it?
This is probably the most tragic day in the history of the presidency.
So what do we do now? I mean, what is the rule book for when a president betrays his own country and sides with an enemy?
And so I think it's up to the American.
Listen to that language. When a president betrays his country. And understand, we know now this is all lies. All of it. Every piece of it. And James and Joyce, you believed this garbage.
American people to make clear that we will not tolerate a president who does not defend the United States of America. Probably the worst cyber attack against the United States to undermine our election system. These are bad people. They're bad guys. They're the enemy. They're the adversary.
Yeah, Ken, thanks for joining the show again, Ken. The irony of this retro vid is off the scale. What we know now, listening to what they said back then, again, off the scale is a great way to say it. This is wild to revisit.
Right. And I got to say, this is my point. So before this narrative that we should actually grab one of the Tulsi videos that lays it out. But before this narrative dropped, so 4 months before this video was filmed, you were an idiot for supporting Trump, is what they said. I supported Trump. It was funny. I remember one of my buddies like, why are you supporting Trump? He's going to go in and wreck the government. And I go, that's why I'm supporting Trump. 2015, I was a Trump supporter. I wanted an outsider. I wanted a businessman. I wanted government downsized. I wanted all that stuff. And it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And he gets elected. And before he even takes office, they start spinning this narrative. And they didn't go like Trump will be bad for the country or he's going to raise the debt. Listen to that language Cuomo used. He's a traitor. He betrayed. What do we do? All these things. The left's brain broke. The left's brain did not understand. We hated what Obama did. We wanted something different, us being normal Americans. Your MAGA neighbor is your plumber. He's your landscaping guy, probably your mechanic. He owns a small business. That's MAGA. And this media narrative started with the criminal of Obama is the one that spun this and leaked this information and gave Cuomo the opportunity to sit there and say he's a traitor to the country.
And I got to say this too for context, Jason. So the whole idea of Russia stealing the election, let's go back to a little ABC reporting in 2017, late 2017. We knew almost right away the minuscule participation of Russia, and they had no problem telling us that. They spent $100,000 in ads from fake Russian accounts. Facebook said they didn't violate rules, and most of the ad money, let me scroll down to, actually, it's on the sub-headline right here. Most of the ads didn't mention a presidential candidate. So they told you, you saw the clip right there, Panetta and Cuomo, this is awful, this is treason, how are we going to move forward as a country? Oh, by the way, they spent maybe $100,000 total. Most of it didn't relate to the election whatsoever here. And Jason, I'm going to do a quick Google, how much was spent on 2016 campaigns.
Oh my gosh.
See what the old Google gives us here. Oh, $7 billion. So you're telling me, and again, this is from 2017, just we're ignoring the Tulsi stuff altogether, $100,000 out of $7 billion spent. And that's supposed to be Russian collusion. Like that was the premise to begin with. It was that thin and awful already. And now we know that Obama made up the entire story. And we always thought, Jason, remember, we've done podcasts on this. Hillary Clinton hires GPS Fusion. They got Christopher Steele to do the dossier about all the fake golden showers and all that. And we were always like, Clinton did it. Clinton was the one colluding. And now it's even bigger than that. It was Obama colluding. Obama was the ringleader. But it's
Right.
all insane.
I got to say, too, a few shout outs. We got Ken 50E over on the Rumble. And welcome to the Rumble chat. They're hopping over there. And then he does make an admission to a little truth. I laughed at Trump in 2015. I'll be honest, I thought it was a gas. 2015 was a different time. We were coming out of Obama. I'm like, let's send Trump up there. What could he do worse than what these other politicians have done? I was like, I did not drain the swamp. I'm in, lock Hillary up. I'm in, and part of it was, it was kind of a gas, and to put in perspective, because we got a lot of viewers over on the Facebook too. We got Marlene. Thanks for tuning in. She also came over. She's a Democrat. Joseph, when's Obama going to be arrested? We say that all the time. We want a perp walk. But to put in perspective, if you're watching on Facebook, when we started our business, we probably spent $100,000 building that Facebook page, like running ads and marketing ourselves. So they're saying the whole story was Russia helped. They spent $100,000 in Facebook ads. And if you do stuff online, to normal people, it sounds crazy, but in the digital space, spending $100,000 is not outlandish. You're investing it, building your name, that kind of thing. And and now Tulsi has shown they were all lying, and they were leaking it to the media that would also share that same lie. And it is just criminal, Todd.
When you put it that way, Jason, going back to the Freedom First page, let's say, for example, that's like saying Freedom First has the power to sway the results of a presidential election. You and I apparently have the power with all the millions of Facebook pages. Our one page with the money we spent, akin to what Russia spent, could turn out a different election result for us. It's wild. And Bruce, I don't know if Bruce is calling out the Dems in the chat or Bruce is calling us out. I think it's us, Jason. I would love, again, for an elaboration. They just say these words and they scram and they leave because they're cowards. Bruce, are you calling us out? Stay tuned for the show. Let us know what you think about the Russian collusion manufactured by your guy, Barack Obama here.
And I got to say, I think back, and just in my personal sphere, and Todd, you and I've talked about this online, on podcasts, and on other things. There are people I'm no longer friends with because I didn't unfriend them. They unfriended me because I supported Donald Trump, because they listened and believed to that lying son of a bitch, Chris Cuomo, and all the others like him. We could play videos like this the whole show. And there's people who I know who no longer associate with me because of that. And actually, I thought Scott Adams, we're a huge Scott Adams fan. Pray for Scott Adams, by the way. He's going through some health stuff. But Scott Adams broke it down phenomenally. And we just wanted to share this. For those who don't know, Scott's going through prostate cancer. He's a creator of Dilbert. Todd and I are both huge fans of his. Someday, hopefully, before he passes, we get to engage with him. But should we hear
How many of you found out that Obama's hoaxes, which would include the Russia hoax, and it would also include the Fine People hoax, because Obama was behind that and Biden ran for office. Those two hoaxes, I would argue, ruined my life. Let me say that again. Those two hoaxes, Russia, and the Fine People hoax, ruined my life. Because those are the hoaxes that allowed my entire social group to say, are you kidding me? You're backing Trump? Trump's a Russian puppet, and he said that neo-Nazis are fine people. So we can't even talk to you again. You're so bad that we can't invite you anywhere. We can't be your friend.
I'll get back to this. Let us know in the chat if you have experienced this. We talk about it. Many of our friends, our business partners, we would bring on new people to our business who would be afraid to use their real name. Todd was in education and he had to blur out his image on his Twitter profile because you weren't allowed in civil society. Remarkable. Back to Scott Adams.
And you should just fuck off. So this is very personal to me. What Obama did was he divided the country with these hoaxes, Because if you imagine a different history where there had never been a Russia hoax and there had never been a Fine People hoax, those were the two primary ways that people became anti-Trumpers, like really serious ones, where the TTS comes in. Now, I would also argue that it's possible that that's what ushered in all the woke stuff. It's what got me canceled.
I'm going to pause here for a second, Jason. Scott Adams, you let off as the Dilbert creator, just a wise human being, a man that has a full lived experience here, and he's just able to see the big picture so easily. I mean, imagine Democrats having to actually campaign on issues. I think they saw the writing on the wall. They've always been on the 20 side of an 80-20 issue. They realize this is coming to an end. We can't lie to the people anymore. Trump exposed the corporate media for what it was. He exposed the establishment for what it was. We have very unpopular opinions. I mean, look at the Democrat policies today, the Democrat platform. I encourage the trolls that were in our Facebook chat earlier to name me a single policy put forward by Democrats that are either good for an individual or this nation. And I would posit that there are absolutely none. So because they can't debate like, well, here's why taxes should be 1,000%, or here's why we should have a wide open border. They don't want to debate the issues anymore. They're just going to label you a lunatic for supporting a man that's doing right by this country. And they did it. Imagine being a Democrat and your whole political worldview is shaped by two monstrous lies. Everything Democrats believe today is a lie. They've been accepting these lies for years now. But if they didn't have the Fine People, they didn't have the Russian collusion, what would Democrats have? What would they have against Donald Trump and his America First platform? They would have nothing. So they had to lie to these people.
Well, and I got to say, we got Fally, and Fally's on the Rumble. Fally, shout out for getting on the Rumble instead of the Facebook. I do want to fact check Fally here, where I guess we weren't friends to start with. I disagree a little with that assessment. I think there are people, I'm still friends with some people that didn't vote for Trump and think I'm crazy for voting for him. I lost friends that weren't. And the reason for that is they could not wrap their head around how I would support somebody who was a traitor to America, because the news media believed they were a traitor to America. The news media told them and convinced them. They also convinced them that Donald Trump was a white supremacist. Neither of these are true. So in their world, they're weak-brained. You can't break through to them. Their brain is like, God, this guy is supporting a traitor to America. Why would you want to be friends with them? And Barry over on the Facebook hits me on the head too. I've lost friends when Trump got elected. I'm not a Republican or Democrat. I just tell the truth and change my own diapers. But we heard that lie for too long. Now we want the people responsible for it, starting with Barack Obama, Oval Office, everybody in that office. They need to be swinging. Well, we might not be able to say that on some of these things. We need to prosecute these bastards. So, oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. You were pulling it up too.
Yeah, I was just reading James' response down from Alabama. Thanks for watching, James. He says he started listening to the show and got run off the road. James, we hope you are okay. Don't want to condone any driving and texting. Doesn't sound like it might have been your problem there. I was going to say maybe it was a black SUV that was like, James, you can't listen to the truth. You cannot listen to freedom from the press. Nothing to do with our show, he says, though, and driving back on the road. So glad you're okay, James. Thanks for listening here from Alabama.
All right. Should we finish up with Scott?
Uh-oh. I'm backwards on it.
Because my natural personality is not to complain about shit. My natural personality is to say, oh, that happened. I guess I have to do this now. So I don't spend a ton of time whining about bad things that happen to me. I just sort of, get moving to fix it and make the best of every situation. But if you were to look at it objectively, those motherfuckers ruined my social life and then my professional life, and it was entirely based on two hoaxes. So do I want them in jail? Yes. Yes, I want Obama in jail for ruining my life with what looks like criminal acts to me. And, I don't know if the Fine People hoax was a criminal act, but it was definitely a conspiracy. They were all in on it, and they all knew the truth, and the news backed them up. So the news was, part of the bad guys. If you said there's a way to make some of the news hosts get handcuffed and taken to jail because they knew that they were supporting a lie, I'd be in favor of that. I don't think there's any law that would support that. But if there were, yeah, I think that some of the people who ruined my life and maybe a lot of your lives should go to jail.
I think that last line is the greatest thing. And we started doing this podcast a couple years ago. We started our business. We just wanted to try to get truth out there. And while we are Trump supporters, you'll find we'll be critical of him if he's gets off a reservation on something. And we try to report things in a factual basis. I mean, obviously we're conservatives, so there's always going to be bias. But I have long said the people that promulgated these hoaxes belong in prison. And I thought Scott Adams said it very succinctly there. And I think about it. So like real world scenario, I have a fantasy baseball league. I have been with guys all over the country that I have been in for over 20 years. Next year, it's the 40th anniversary of the league. So I've been in it for 25-ish, 26 years. The league's been around for 40 years. Do the math. And they want to get together in Vegas. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to go out there because it's just going to be drama, because they're like 4 or 5 guys that fell for all the Trump hoaxes and think I'm like Satan incarnate for supporting Donald Trump. So these are guys I knew 10, 15 years before Trump. I've known him 10 years after. And suddenly now I'm a threat to democracy. They all belong in prison.
100%. And as Scott Adams relates it to himself, there are victims of their crimes. Like, it meets the definition of an actual crime now. So they do deserve to be prosecuted. And the one thing about Trump, I don't think anything's going anywhere with Epstein. You talked about how we're critical of Trump. I don't want to be disappointed here. If Trump drops this bombshell of here's Tulsi Gabbard laying out all the crimes committed by Obama, allegedly, then there needs to be a follow-up. And the follow-up is not any more Fox News appearances, no more press briefings. The follow-up is handcuffs and jumpsuits and perp walks and jail bars. If we don't get that, I don't know. Trump has really set himself up here. If he doesn't deliver on this, I've kind of brushed aside Epstein. I don't know. We're not going to get that. But if he doesn't arrest Barack Obama and these other corrupt politicians, that is a big problem. And I don't think the voters are going to take too kindly to that in 26 or 28.
Well, and I just wish that more Democrats could see and say, wait a second. People always like to bring out, oh, this is worse than Watergate. I mean, we could play 100 videos in Trump's first term that said, oh, this is worse than Watergate. The president in his lame duck period hamstrings the incoming administration by accusing him essentially of treason, and he knows it's not true. We have the documents right now. They've been released that say Obama knew it wasn't true. And then they leak it to the media. And the Fine People hoax Scott Adams references, I'm particularly angry at the media for, because, okay, fine, if you believe the intelligence community about Russiagate, the Fine People hoax, literally, they cut the video off right before he says, I'm not talking about white supremacists. There is no spinning that. There is no anything. They were pure propagandists, even if you give them a little bit of a pass for the Russiagate hoax. But this, God, I want anybody in this orbit to go to jail.
Yeah, and if I can circle back to the show's headline, America's Lib Problem, I think our shortest headline ever, 3 words. You can tell a Democrat, you can sit them down and say, here are the facts. Here's how Obama colluded to create the Russian narrative. Here is how you got lied to about fine people. I did this on one of my first podcasts. We've shown this video countless times here. Here's how you got lied to. And a Democrat will watch that and they won't even process it. They'll be like, you're lying to me somehow, Todd and Jason. I know you're lying to me. I know he really said that because someone else told me he did. Even if they accept that they got lied to about fine people, you would think that would prompt them to be like, I wonder what else they lied to me about. Or, gosh, maybe I should look at this story a little bit differently now. They just move on. Like, as Scott Adams said, these are the 2 hoaxes that started everything. That's what created TDS. That's what ushered in the woke movement in his analysis. You can show them that. You can disprove them of their previous beliefs. And they just move on. They're like, well, maybe that's not true. But the rest of this is certainly true because you haven't debunked that for me yet. I don't know what we do with these people. You can show them all of the evidence, all of the facts. You can change their mind on an instance. but they don't change the bigger picture about how the media presents its coverage of Donald Trump. And I just don't know what we do with that.
You know, it's funny. Permission to tell a personal story, Todd.
Engage.
My buddy Jim, we have been friends for 20, 30 years. Jim is a Democrat, traditional, non-crazy Democrat. I remember when things were getting wild. I do Jim's taxes for him. And we get together. It's our excuse. We actually get together every the weekend, go get lunch with our families. We are still friends over all this. So it still can be done. And I remember I had exactly that experience you described when the Find People hoax was breaking. I'm like, dude, you're being lied to. Like, and because you're like, I can't believe, how can you support Donald Trump? He's white supremacist. I'm like, hang on, let me pull the video. And this is when it first happened. And I showed him the video, pulled it up right on my phone. Here's the YouTube. Here's the full clip. This is right within the first few months when it was happening. We were getting together, doing his taxes. No, here's the thing. And he's like, holy crap, the media is lying to me. And I go, yeah. And he's like, he's going through this soul searching, like, wow. We got together 3 months later to get lunch. He had forgotten he saw that video. He had watched and seen so much news media that said Trump's white supremacist, Trump's white supremacist. And I'm like, dude, don't you remember I showed you this video? And you're like, holy crap, they're lying to me. And he's like, oh yeah, you did, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah, none of that is true. They just keep hitting repeat. I mean, it's like brainwashing. Like you're living in the Matrix. Like they're telling you stuff that's not true over and over and over, so that you just happen to believe it. It's crazy.
God, I can't get over that story. All right, Jason. You know what? We got Paul in the chat, Jason. Good morning, Paul Reese from splitrockcoffee.com. Folks, I got my American Tribune. Hey, Dee, do you have your mug today for the show? If you want delicious coffee, roasted, ground, brewed, not yet. They have a facility coming. But disabled veteran owned right here in Minnesota, where Jason and I broadcast from here. You can go to splitrockcoffee.com, support Paul Reese over there. Use promo code TOD10. Subscribe and save today, too. They will deliver it to your doorstep every month. You never have to worry about the grocery store again. You can get the breakfast blend. You can get the super caffeinated one that Paul will always have to put in the chat every single week because I never remember it here. splitrockcoffee.com. Don't spend any more money on these woke coffee companies that hate you or the pretend conservative companies out there. They just want your money. Paul Reese is the real deal. Split Rock Coffee is the real deal. Splitrockcoffee.com, promo code TOD10.
Giddy up. We love Split Rock Coffee. Watch that light roast, though. You get too into that light roast in the morning. Some days, these guys, it'll be like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I'll be just firing stuff off on the work chat. They'll be like, Jason had Split Rock Coffee light roast. Oh, yeah. And actually, the chats are just popping. God, tell Wanda, it's scary. Democrats are so easily brainwashed. When proven wrong, they forget. It's funny. And like I say, my buddy Jim, who is a Democrat, and like those relationships, you can still be friends with them. It's funny because he'll show up now and he'll be like, okay, what did I get lied to about this week? And it's been years, though, of just like he'll watch the show sometimes, he'll listen to it on the road, he'll see things, and it's just ironic. The brainwashing is so thick.
It's incredible. Yeah, that is the problem. I don't know how you overcome it here. If they're immune to the facts, if they're immune to reality, can you bring them over to the America First tent where we want all Americans? The tent is big enough for all of us. We all want you here. We want you to no longer vote for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, any Democrat they run. But we are 50-50 still, despite all of the evidence pointing on our side here. And Jason, I do have to say, too, you said how we have a little bias on the show. I am a firm believer in there's no such thing as impartial or unbiased. Right. We all have our biases. One bias is correct. The rest of the biases are wrong. We like to say we're spitting the facts here. I think we're on the right side of facts. We're opining on the facts, but these are the facts as we understand them. Yes, we are biased in our support of Trump, but no, we're not biased against reality either. So I like to think that I have the right bias. You cannot raise a human being to have no biases.
Right. Now, the other thing I mentioned we're going to talk about, and I don't know if you can pull up that Amuse tweet because Amuse synced it pretty well. Yeah, we're getting our crack IT staff on this. So we now know Russiagate was manufactured by the Obama administration. I no longer need to wear my tinfoil hat to do it. But another thing that was revealed, and you can see the video here. This is when Hillary Clinton was running for president. Somebody caught video of her flopping around a few weeks before the election, and they throw her in the back of the van like a dead carp. Well, also in the released documents are documents that the intelligence community, there were high-level DNC emails that revealed Clinton had psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness. So mentally, she was breaking down. She was flashing all over the board. And she was on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers during her time in office. So Hillary Clinton, who's not a young woman, was mentally breaking down. There were DNC emails about this. And when we were talking about this video where they're throwing her like a dead body in the back of a van, they told us we were conspiracy theorists. And now it's shown not only was it true, but they all knew it. The intelligence community knew it. The media knew it. It is unbelievable.
When was the, I'm going to ask this question. I know the answer because I think Obama is healthy enough, but they ran Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris, none of whom are healthy and stable and fit. Like when we say that they're running lunatics, they are verifiable lunatics. None of these people are healthy, cogent, mentally stable. It is wild, the demons that they are running as president.
It's funny you say that because Jen Rob and I were talking this morning, and I said, I wonder what it's like to be a Democrat. So Barack Obama, whatever you want to get into about how he was picked. Let's take Hillary Clinton. They stole the nomination from Bernie. We've covered it. We did full episodes on it. They stole it from Bernie. And they installed this woman who has mental problems on tranquilizers, throwing her in, like Kevin says, hey, welcome to the show, Kev. Throw her in like a side of beef. Throwing her in the van, they called you conspiracy theorists. So not only did you steal the nomination from your candidate, you installed somebody who is incapable. Then you bring out Joe Biden, who is a vegetable. He was a turnip. He was well past his expiration date. You hide him. You somehow managed to get him into the presidency. You're going to run him again until he is too much of an expired vegetable. They can't even get away through it. They don't even, and they knew it before the primary. And you install Kamala Harris, who is an alcoholic Jamaican, and try to repackage her as Shaniqua from the hood. And so Democrats voters have not picked a presidential candidate since Barack Obama's second term, if you believe even that. So it's been like 12, 16 years since they've picked a presidential nominee. And how are they not mad as hell?
You're a Democrat screaming about protecting democracy, and every time you show up in the primaries, your vote doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll have to do a deep dive on that superdelegate the Dems offer, because what a system that is altogether. Oh, you wanted that person? Well, we have this made-up superdelegate. They're more powerful than your regular delegate. Yeah, Barack definitely stole it from Hillary in 2008. That was also a coup that doesn't get talked about enough.
Right. So if you think what's been released this week, that those idiots early on that were ripping on us, you were lied to about the Trump collusion, you were lied to about the fine people, you were even lied to about your presidential candidate that ran against Trump after they stole it from Bernie. And there are people, the mainstream media is completely ignoring this. And those folks earlier on in the podcast, on the chat, that were talking about oh, you guys, Trump's blah, blah, blah. How much more proof do you need that you have been brainwashed for like 15 years until you wake up and accept reality?
Well, you want to talk brainwash, Jason? How about this for a segue? As it relates to the Epstein scandal, again, I am not going to hold my breath to get any information if it exists at this point. I don't know why it would exist in writing when it implicates everybody, so it's just not happening. But it's the way Democrats are approaching it now. They think they're so morally superior, they're better people. We have two clips. These are the go-tos. We got Jamel Hill, who just hates everything, and you got Jessica Tarlov, who's always good for a laugh if you want to look at it that way. This is how they are framing up the latest Epstein scandal, though. I'm going to start with Tarlov, and then we'll get to Jamel Hill. And they just get roasted by the conservative pundits in the room.
Hillary, and they get activated, and suddenly they won't be mad at Trump anymore for not releasing the Epstein files or whatever he had to do with any of it. It's preposterous that we were talking about Hillary Clinton's emails again in
We had
year
no
2025.
choice. We spent years
You know what
on
your
this
choice
story.
is?
No, let me. We had to take this story seriously for years, and it was false.
It wasn't
for
false.
No. For people to understand what happened, all right? Because the problem with this story is that nobody knows what you're talking about. When Trump won in 2016, the intel community concluded that Russia didn't have a hand in his victory. Instead of accepting the inclusion, Obama determined and wanted a new conclusion. So he sent Brennan running to come up with a new conclusion, that there was some kind of trivial involvement that then they could feed out to the media. And coincidentally, dozens of news organizations said that Trump was in bed with Putin and that somehow Brennan knew. Brennan knew. How did he know?
Why
There
did
was
John
no proof.
Durham
There
do
was no
nothing?
proof. There was no
Why
proof.
did Durham do
No,
nothing
But
then?
no, let me finish. They amplified a false conclusion that Trump colluded with Russia in 2016. We had to spend years dealing with that. And now we're actually getting investigation, and you're saying, no, you know what? You guys should just move on. You guys should just move. You say the same effing thing about Biden's brain. You guys spent 4 years telling us that Joe Biden was fine. You covered up for an invalid. And then when we get the truth, it's like, oh, you know what? It's time. We got to look forward. We got to start talking about what's there. And you can bring up Epstein all you want. We, unlike Democrats, we can handle 2 things, 3 things, 4 things at once.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, no. Have you been listening to the right lately? The right is more on top of Epstein than the Democrats are. The Democrats never cared about Epstein until they saw a political motivation. The right was into the Epstein story because women were being sex trafficked. We actually cared. But now you're like, ooh, Epstein, a political angle. Ooh, this is fantastic.
I got to say, I love what Gutfeld says at the end there. Todd, what was the first series when we launched our business and started our Substack, which is www.theamericantribune.news? We talk about stuff we can't run on our regular website because it's nuclear. The first series we broke into was
Jeffrey Epstein.
We did 9 research pieces citing court documents, went into multiple different topics. Todd wrote some, Will wrote some. Will does most of Substack now. We talked about all of it. We even did a deep dive into Trump to see if he was involved. We cited when he flew with Epstein, which is true. We tried to look from an objective angle, like, was Trump part of this elite pedo network? The right cared. And the left completely ignored it. We talked about Sound of Freedom, one of the best movies you'll ever see. It was called a QAnon conspiracy theory. And like Greg Gutfeld says, now that they think they can score political points, all of a sudden the Democrats magically care about it. And actually, the Jamel Hill clip, I think, is that one with her and Scott Jennings?
Yep.
This is just, listen to what she says.
Satisfied by seeing him make such a huge unforced error.
I have to say, your use of the word delicious to start your comments, and then you're saying that you're very satisfied. But, we are talking about a situation here where young women were abused. This is a tragic case. Maxwell's in jail because she helped traffic the women. This is a very, very tragic case. I see Democrats and people on the left taking great political delight in this because they don't care one bit about the victims. They only started caring this about 5 minutes ago. They only started caring 5 minutes ago when it was a cudgel against Trump. So this kind of language where we just sort of laugh about the situation but forget the underlying issue, the victims here, to me, it's beyond the.
She is celebrating that this is not going politically well for Donald Trump. She has zero care about any of the victims. And as soon as it's shown that Donald Trump was not one of Epstein's clients, and that's what they like to say. It's been documented Donald Trump flew on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet way before he knew he was a pedophile. It was documented that Donald Trump banned Jeffrey Epstein from his properties. It is documented in court documents that Donald Trump helped get Epstein convicted for the first time when he was convicted in Florida before his second arrest under Bill Barr. It's all documented, but they like to throw out these half-truths. Trump's on the Epstein list or Trump's in the Epstein files. He 100% is. His name is mentioned in there, as is everybody else. And Trump today gave a video quote. I don't know if Todd's even seen it. He's like, why is nobody talking about Bill Clinton going to the island 28 times? Bill Clinton went to Epstein Island 28 times. Prince Andrew, creepy as hell, right? You aren't seeing Jamel Hill go, oh, I hope they get Prince Andrew. No, all they care about as it relates to Epstein is how they can make Donald Trump look bad. It makes me sick.
Correct. And you talked about Clinton going to the island. Why did Epstein go to the Clinton White House in a 3-year span 17 times? These guys were connected like this, but Jamel never talked about it until yesterday. Again, for the political opportunism, these people have been exposed. They are sick. They are disgusting. And Jason, just to kind of round up here, we got a trifecta. Here's Jamie Raskin. I think we played this clip last week. Morning Joe, of all people, doing real journalism, saying, hey, Raskin, why are Democrats suddenly interested in the Epstein story when you had Joe Biden in office for 4 years? Dems controlled the House and the Senate for the first 2 of them. We've known about Epstein for a decade now, at least, and you never mentioned it until right now when Donald Trump's name is on the list. And Raskin's response, it's exactly what you would expect here.
Congressman, you could have gotten that from 21 to 25 when Democrats controlled the DOJ. Why? It was a crisis then. It's a crisis now. Why didn't Democrats call for it from 21 to 25?
So, I mean, you'd have to go back and look specifically at particular prosecutorial decisions and what was taking place in terms of the other cases. So I don't know. We could try to reconstruct that record. But the point is that Donald Trump is the one who has led the crusade.
Trump bad.
To say that that Epstein, who was his very close friend, and there's all kinds of pictures of them.
And he gives up the whole ghost. None of these people want any of the pedos prosecuted. None of them want real information out. None of them want to break up any of this. And I believe Epstein compromised both people on the Democrat and Republican side. I think that goes without saying. Who knows his origins? We all have our own. I might need my conspiracy theory, my aluminum foil hat for that. But Democrats' interest is exclusively in how it can hurt Trump politically. The files will come out. I will be unsatisfied because I don't think anybody's going to be prosecuted. But anybody falling for this Epstein stuff, when Trump called this a hoax, what he's saying is that Democrats are doing like they did with Russia. And to compare them, Russia, they knew there was no Trump-Russia collusion or support. So they took these half-quarter truths and said Russia tried to interfere with our election, so Donald Trump is a puppet of Putin, and people fell for it. Is Donald Trump's name in the files? Yeah, it's documented. So they're going to say, see, Donald Trump was in the Epstein files, and therefore he's a pedo. They're doing the same roadmap. This is exactly what Trump said when he called it a hoax.
And you know how I know, Jason, because of our smart Facebook audience, if Dems had anything about Trump and Epstein, they would have used it against him already. You want me to believe that they let Trump run in 2016, run in 2020, run in 2024 and win, and now he can't run again. And now they want the public to be like, see, Trump and Epstein are on the list here. And what are they going to do? Impeach him? And then there's still a Republican president that takes the place. J.D. Vance is president. Like, tell me how that strategy makes any sense. They tried to put him in prison. There are different theories on what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, but they sat on the Epstein story the entire time until now when it doesn't have any political power whatsoever against him. Absolutely bonkers if anybody believes that here. And Kev makes a great point. I'm just going to get to Kev, and then he says Epstein was not an unknown shadowy figure. Fact check true. He and his gal pal were at every social event. Yeah, even Raskin mentioned the pictures. Yes, Epstein has pictures with everybody. They were not unknown people hiding on an island, and people don't seem to get that. Yeah. You wonder why Mike Johnson just tabled everything and said, let's go on a recess for the entire month of August instead of dealing with Epstein. Maybe people will forget when we come back in September. Yeah, everyone's on the list. They all knew what Epstein was doing. Many of them participated in it. Yeah, this is an establishment problem through and through. But no, Donald Trump's not on the list in the way that they want him to be.
This makes me so mad. Should we end our hour two with just some funny stories?
There are some good ones out there. Jason, can I recap for our lefty audience really fast what we've covered today so far? Because I know this is a lot of information to process for pea-brain people out there. Number one, you were lied to about Russia collusion and fine people. Completely fabricated, made up. Those things are not real. Your entire political worldview is predicated on two massive lies. And number two, Donald Trump was not a client of Epstein, though many others in D.C. were. And Democrats are only using it for political opportunity. They don't care about the victims, never have. They don't care how many women got abused, they never have. They see this as a political attack on Trump, and that is it. That's it. That is who you are siding with right now if you vote Democrat. That's your moral compass.
Oh, and don't forget Hillary Clinton, turns out, was on heavy sedatives because she was insane.
She was on
and you also know Joe Biden was a vegetable, and they were lying to you then. And Kamala Harris was... You can form your own opinion about Kamala Harris. I wouldn't hire her to run a Dairy Queen if I owned it, like much less the country. Well, we should do a couple fun ones here. For those who don't know, we do our first hour on Facebook, YouTube, all these sorts of platforms. And we do that. There's great reach. There's great audience. You see it in the chat. But then after an hour, we cut off and we head to Rumble only. And we do that because Rumble isn't going to censor what we say, and we're going to get into some pretty spicy topics. This may even offend some of our strong audience over there. They might be like, "Whoa, this is kind of weird," but we love that because you know what? We can all have different views. We can talk about things. We can flush things out, and it's we invite you to go over there. If you don't know what Rumble is, if you're on your computer, rumble.com, search for the American Tribune. You'll find our channel. We're live over there. People are really nice on Rumble, other than Kev. Kev can be a troublemaker. Yeah, he gets spicy. And if you're on your phone, you can download the app. It's like YouTube. We have the American Tribune channel. But we got some really fun stories to go into. And just so you know, too, Todd, at the End of Wayne's show on Thursdays, we always tell people not to get in trouble for the weekend. I gave Kevin specific permission to get in trouble. So I'm really looking forward to next Friday or next Monday on Wayne's podcast to find out what kind of trouble Kevin got.
Jason, you might be Kevin's one phone call for all we know.
I could be. I get a message from Kev like, hey, I need bail money. All right, which story do we do last here on these platforms?
Jason, I know we have some of the view clips. We have a grocery store that is state-run, and of course it has empty shelves. We also have the illegal immigrant that tried to come back to the country legally and got deported. I don't know. I love that story, but I'm going to let you pick and choose, Jason.
All right, well, let's do the grocery store one quick. I'll frame it up a little bit, and then we'll end on the immigrant one because you love that one. So the grocery store one, there's this... We talked about it with the communists are trying to elect in New York City, and he's bad. He called himself a socialist. We all know it's communism. He wants one of his concepts are doing city-run grocery stores. Now, before I did digital marketing, I spent 30 years in the retail industry. Much of that was in grocery, where there was like, superstores with grocery, or you had big grocery departments, all that kind of stuff. But groceries, just so you know, are like horrible margin. It's hard to make money. And to think the government could run grocery stores reasonably is funny. So I found this clip. This is an actual government-run grocery store in, I believe it's Kansas City. I love this so much.
Shoppers come to check off their list and buy groceries for the week. Protein, vitamins, fresh fruits and vegetables.
Now they have nothing. There is nothing. I walked in and I'm like, okay, where's all the food?
Michelle Randolph has been shopping here for years.
The milk, I'm scared to buy some. Even the dates that may have a few days over, I don't want to buy that.
Every aisle is like...
I know this isn't the point of the story, Jason. You know how Scott Adams is pissed off at Obama for ruining his relationships and friendships and career? I am equally mad at Democrats for ruining this woman's life because she is wearing a mask in 2025. They were so convinced. Again, we did a meme, Jason, about how I wasn't worried about Dems during the pandemic because they're immune to everything, facts included. But this poor woman's world has been forever ruined, changed for the worse. because she bought the media lies. Like, why are you? I just pity people that wear a mask nowadays. And I get kind of mad too, because they still have the same vote as I do. But every time I see that, I just get fired up.
See, I don't mind the mask so much because it just lets me identify you're probably not somebody I can have a rational conversation with.
I don't want to buy that.
Every aisle is like a ghost town. The chips are gone. The meat is gone. The cheese and yogurt are gone. Even the frozen section has more frost than food.
It used to be packed when it first opened back in a couple years back.
For months, food has been purchased and not replaced by the store.
2 or 3 months ago. Yeah, it's just too much for me, if you ask me.
A smell greets customers at the entrance.
It's a rancid odor or something. I think something dead or something that's went bad.
In 7 years, the store has had 2 operators, for-profit and now non-profit.
There's nothing on the shelves.
After bonds, building loans, ordinances, and shortfall transfers, taxpayers have invested nearly $29 million in the store.
All that money is just going to waste.
Kansas City police.
Oh, we were both hitting pause.
Yeah, we were going to pause on the number here. Oh my God.
So I think they said 7 years this store has been open. And judging from the size of that store, let's just say politely that's maybe a $10 million store. Just from if it's all stocked, running right, that kind of thing. It could be as low as $5 million. Spent a lot of time in the industry, but without knowing the demographics, just kind of ballpark how big that store is. If you run a $10 million grocery store, unless you have really strong like deli, bakery, that kind of thing, you'll be lucky to make a 5% net margin after you pay all the bills. This thing has been losing like $3-4 million a year, which if that was a Target or Walmart grocery store or Kroger's or whatnot, it would have been closed 100 times because you're never going to make much money. And in stores like this that focus on just basic meat and stuff, not like energy drinks and that kind of stuff, you make even worse margin. So it's truly, truly remarkable.
And I love how they have to do a story on this and the residents are shocked. Like the residents are genuinely upset and shocked. Like the government took over the grocery store and now there's nothing on the shelves. And I can't believe this is happening. We need to do better. Folks, if anybody knows the people in the segment there, share this podcast with them because I'm going to drop a little truth nugget. Government-run services are inefficient and government-mandated grocery stores, operated grocery stores will never succeed. This is what happens in communism. When we talk about bread lines and waiting in line for toilet paper, as our comment said, in the Soviet Union, this happens every single time, no exceptions. I got to get to this comment though, Jason. I got distracted here by Carolyn over here. So Carolyn decides to push back a little bit because we have pictures. Yes, there are pictures of Trump and Epstein. You have a birthday card from him to Epstein, which Carolyn, I don't know. I guess I have to tell you this. That was a hoax. Believe it or not, the media created a hoax about Donald Trump, including the birthday card. You have comments from him saying he wished he could bed his daughter. That is not true. Where your statements to him saying he wants, they always go back to the statement right here about you can grab any woman. Carolyn, do you realize that Trump wouldn't be able to grab women if they didn't throw themselves at him? How about a little personal responsibility and accountability for the loose women that allow rich, powerful men to do whatever they want with them? This just in, men have a sexual nature, an unstoppable sexual drive, and women have the power to stop that if they don't throw themselves at them. How about that, Carolyn? How he can walk in a room full of young girls and enjoy it? Nope, you and all your maggot friends in orange are the pedos. Unsubstantiated attack there, calling us the P word here. Where was your outrage at Epstein until yesterday, though, Carolyn? Did you see the clips from Gutfeld, from Jamel Hill, from Jamie Raskin? Were you mad about Epstein last week, or are you just going on about it because of the political opportunity? Carolyn, you're a disgusting human being.
Yes, Carolyn, and we will pray for you because you are horribly brainwashed. Marlene hit the nail on the head. She doesn't even know what truth is. It's remarkable. And Kev makes a good point too about this. Ohio took over liquor stores a few decades ago. I never hear good things or bad thing. It's just there. People go to Kentucky. Here's the thing. If you go to the DMV, you go to the Social Security office. Our business partner, Will, had to go get his name change after getting married. You see how inefficient these things are run. they cannot run stores any more efficiently or effectively. And somebody who existed in this space thinking you can put a government run grocery store in is like the most ludicrous thing I have ever heard in my life. Grocery, especially, you run on no margin. And it's crazy to think about that they think that would be good. Should we end with your video quick too, Todd?
Let's do it. I love this video so much, folks. This makes me happy. Every time an illegal gets deported, some angel out there gets its wings here. We had to reference George Bailey one more time, Jason. This guy here, though, I'm going to summarize, and then we'll play the broadcast from San Diego. You have an illegal alien who entered the country illegally, misses a turn. I don't know how this happens. I assume he doesn't know how to read English. He can't read the road signs, just completely oblivious. Oftentimes, illegals are driving drunk. Maybe that was the case. He somehow leaves California and enters Mexico, an illegal immigrant, decides he wants to correct for his error and drive back into the United States, and legally enters. He's an illegal immigrant. He legally tries to go back in the United States through a port of entry, and then he gets detained because you have to show ID at the border when you come into the country. And so now he's getting deported here. Everything about the story is hilarious and amazing, and I love it.
Brought to the U.S. from El Salvador 20 years ago when he was 14. He's now a rideshare driver and was taking passengers from L.A. to the border in San Ysidro when he missed his exit and ended up in Tijuana.
When that happened, he lost everything, basically.
I have to pause this, Jason, because this touches on my podcast yesterday. His immigration attorney is also an immigrant herself. What's her name? Sigamani here. This is what's wrong with our system, folks. You have immigrants. I went on a whole rant about immigration here, but when you bring immigrants to the country, their first priority is helping other immigrants. Do you not see a large problem with this? So here's the illegal. He's got his immigrant attorney working for him, and she's going to lay it out for us.
He lost everything, basically.
His attorney, Valerie Sagamani, says with DACA, you need prior approval to leave the U.S. And when he tried to come back, she says the Americans at the border asked him for a bribe.
But at one point, one of the officials told him, well, if you pay us $800, we'll forgive everything and we'll let you into the United States with no problem.
Without any cash, she says Hernandez was placed in expedited removal. He's now at Otay Mesa Detention Center with an order of deportation.
He doesn't know that country. He hasn't been there since he was a kid. So he has no idea what it's like to live in a...
We have to squash this talking point. Don't know, don't care. If you're here in this country illegally, he has been in this country, Jason, for 20 years, and he has not been naturalized. He has not been given citizenship. He is just here illegally. Some DACA for 20 years. Something's not adding up. I don't care if he doesn't know the country. He can go home to his country because clearly America's not it. But I don't feel bad for you if you haven't spent time in your home country. Not my problem. You need to figure out 20 years of being in America and also not make a wrong turn into Mexico, I guess.
Salvador.
That leaves his wife caring for their 3 kids alone, just weeks before the birth of their son.
It's just a lot of, stress, anxiety that I have because I'm currently in therapy right now. I started therapy because it's just a lot. It's just a lot that I have.
Jason, so much to say. 4 kids. We're a 4th on the way. I don't know if it's a baby. If you're a Democrat, does he have 3 kids or 4 kids yet? Is that a baby? When it's an immigrant, it's a baby. When it's an illegal immigrant baby and it needs to become a citizen, it is a human being in the womb. But other than that, it's not a baby. I have a solution to their problems. They can all go home. This woman clearly speaks Spanish. She can go to El Salvador with him. They can take the entire family and start a new life in El Salvador.
I think that's an excellent solution.
To manage by myself.
Una pesadilla, un mal sueño.
Hernandez's parents say this is a nightmare, a bad dream. They have legal status.
All right, so they didn't want to interview the parents for so long. Jason, everything about this video is incredible. Those are the people that brought our guy into the country 20 years ago, and they had to conduct an interview in Spanish. 20 years in the United States, if you don't learn English, that should be an automatic punch on your card. You are an expedited deportation process as well. Get these people out of here.
Well, and I got to say, Todd, you've lived abroad.
I have lived abroad.
Did you have to learn the local language?
You know what, Jason? Funny enough, I chose places where I wanted to learn the native language. I studied Spanish. I went to countries that spoke Spanish because I wanted to develop my Spanish speaking. I know it's crazy. You would think if you want to come to America, you would have some vested interest in participating in our American way of life.
Yeah, and Marlene hit the nail on the head. I went there too, where it's like we're probably paying for therapy. I just got to say, like those 3-4 kids, we're probably paying their rent through Section 8. We're probably paying their Medicaid. We're paying for all that. And
yeah, you don't support a family of 4 as an Uber driver.
Right. Oh my God.
And I'm going to say this, Ken. I'm with you on this, Ken. If they got said or alleged, yes, open up an interview. I don't want our border guards, our customs agents taking bribes. That's not what we do here. Look into it. I'm fine with that because I don't want that happening. I'm just saying I don't believe that that was a thing. They are just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what's going to stick right now to keep their guy here.
Right. Well, should we wind this up and head over to Rumble only, Todd?
I think we should. It's been a fast hour today, a fun hour. Facebook had a lot of activity today in the comment section.
Yeah, Facebook's popping because I want to play next that video of the ungrateful immigrant. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, we should play that. And I'm like, I am totally going to say something that's going to get us in trouble.
All right. With that being said, Jason, we do have I don't want to say a sponsor of the show, but some product that I am at least personally excited about. Full disclosure, this is one of my buddies here. He's in Minnesota with us as well. He's a golfer, and he decided, you know what? I'm looking around trying to buy golf gloves, and they're not really fancy. If you are a golfer, your choices are all black or all white. And he said, I want something with some art on it. I want it to look good. I want to feel good when I'm out there here. He has created his own line of golf apparel. He started out with gloves and hats. He'll be expanding into other products here shortly here. It's called Hinatori. It's Japanese for Phoenix. So he's going that route here. So you got some fancy artwork on the gloves. He talks about how the artwork is on different places of the gloves that nobody else offers on the market here. You can use promo code Todd10 at hinatori.com. I'm going to drop a link in the chat as well, so you can just click directly to the website here. Here's just a brief overview here. We got a 20-second spot to promote the glove here. And if you like what you're seeing, again, you can go to the website. We'll drop the link in the comment section. Use promo code Todd15, not to be confused with my Split Rock promo code Todd10. My parents are beaming, Jason. They're just beaming. I have 2 promo codes now to my name. But take a spot here. We're going to switch over to Rumble only upon the completion of the ad here. I will drop a link below for Hinatori. But enjoy. And if you like what you see, it's a great gift for yourself. It's a great gift for a son or a grandson or a daughter or granddaughter, because I have 2 girls and they are definitely going to be golfing as they get older here. But Jason, you want to say goodbye to our Facebook audience first?
Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in. We love and appreciate you guys. Do us a favor, hit a like, and share this show with your friends. Maybe share it with somebody you might not politically agree with. We need to wake up some of these brainwashed Democrats. We love spending time with folks that understand what's going on, but it's important we reach some of those people too. Yeah, and give a good shout out. We got James still over on the Rumble. James, much more chatty now. I love listening to you guys. You're so real. I saw earlier on the chat, I think I missed it, but Mickey, my neighbor, we worked together 20 years ago. She's over on the Rumble. So Facebook, YouTube, hop over to the Rumble, get in the chat. We got some funny stories to go through as we end up the week. Giddy up, everybody. Oh, Todd, I'm still seeing the streams on.
Oh, you know what? I got so excited about the golf gloves, I forgot to kill the Facebook feed. Sorry, Facebook folks. You got a bonus 15 seconds from us over there. We got to fire the producer of this show, Jason. I don't